Good day, mate. In this video, we will talk about getting to know into editing. Let's get into it. Before we touch our editing software, okay, we have to get to know the editing, okay? What is the editing? Okay, there is two types of editing out there, non-linear editing and linear editing. So, linear editing is much closer to analog editing, alright? Because we actually trim the clip to produce our video, okay? And non-linear editing, there is extra steps, okay? There is a computer processing. So, non-linear editing involves a computer to process the video. Okay, make any sense, right? So basically we need to differentiate two software, okay? Two type of software in processing our image, okay? There is editing software and there is compositing software. Compositing software used to composite your footage into a picture, okay? That's why it's called compositing software. But you can always edit your video in compositing software, but it's much more easier to edit your video in editing software, okay? Editing software is for editing and compositing software is for compositing, but you can always use Adobe Premiere Pro in this example to light composite your image, okay? After Effects is for compositing. Adobe Premiere Pro is for editing. It can also light compositing as well, okay? Light compositing, okay? I'm using a paid software here, okay? Adobe Premiere Pro. And for some people, this software is too expensive for them, okay? But there is always alternative, a great alternative, I say. The one I strongly recommend you guys to learn the editing software is DaVinci Resolve. Okay, there is a paid version for DaVinci as well. It's called DaVinci Studio. What's the core difference between these two software? Okay, these two have a very distinct difference. Okay, so DaVinci Studio is more focused on the big screen, but the free version I can say is very powerful software you can get, and it's free. You guys, come on. But DaVinci Resolve workflow for me is a bit more complicated than Adobe Premiere, okay? Because maybe I'm just getting used to Adobe Premiere, okay? But if I'm using DaVinci Resolve in my daily basis, I might use DaVinci Resolve like easy, you know? So why I said DaVinci Resolve is a bit harder to learn than Premiere Pro, okay? First of all, the different workflow, okay? When you used to Filmmaker, okay, Windows Filmmaker or Filmora or anything else, you will easier to transition to Adobe Premiere Pro because the workflow is always kind of the same, okay? But in DaVinci Resolve, it's kind of different. So workflow is a bit different. And two, DaVinci Resolve is not best editing, okay? Not best editing software. So basically, DaVinci Resolve it's much more advanced software than Adobe Premiere. So if you learn the not best editing software, you might get to industry much more easier, okay? Because the industry standard software much likely use a not best editing software, okay? Much likely, but not in generally. Alright, so I strongly suggest you to learn these two software, Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve, to edit your video. Okay, that's it for today. If you have any question, leave the comment below and tap the like button for YouTube algorithm. See you in the next one.